Hello, hello, hello. It's Holly Rustick here with Grant Writing and Funding. I'm really excited. We have another bonus podcast episode with you, and that is we have Éowyn Melaragno, and she is in the Academy, and she's going to be talking about she is renewed. Actually, there's so many things going on. So welcome, Éowyn.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, yes, and I love that you've just renewed in the Academy. You've been in already a year, and just all of the things that you had when I was reading, like, why we have this thing called why did you join, like as soon as you join, like the first year, and you're like, I just really want to like start a business and get more confident and all of the things. And I'm like, oh, how fun, like to see a year go by and all of that. So
Babies.
welcome to the podcast, and I'm so excited. We're going to talk about why you joined the Academy, your origin story, and all the things. But that's what I actually like to start with is the origin story. So, what got you interested in grant writing?
Oh, well, let's get into it. So, I've always just had a lot of nonprofit love in my heart, and always have a background in volunteering and being engaged in the community. And my career has mostly been in higher ed. So for about a decade before I started doing grant writing, I worked in higher ed in different areas, and that was great for a period of time in my life where I had a lot of energy and I was ready for, I guess, the grind. But I was also freshly out of grad school, so I think it really spoke to me because I was working with like new students and stuff like that. So but I always had an interest in grant writing because a lot of the last 5 years of my career, I was the director of donor relations at a university here. And so were near me at the time. And so I really was interested in how I could report on all these funds in a more creative and storytelling way, which obviously connects back to grant writing. And so I actually wanted to do grant writing when I was doing that job, but there wasn't a way to do that and shift my role into that. So I think after I had my daughter in 2022, and just something about having a child, I think, gave me that permission to just kind of say, you know what, like if I'm not going to be spending time with this being that I created, I want to be doing something that really motivates me and I'm passionate about. And so that just became grant writing. So I actually, silly enough, it's not really silly, but at the time I only knew so much. So I enrolled in a certificate program at a university here, which was great for where I was starting. But after I did the certificate program, I realized that I didn't really know where to go from there. Like I had this like information, but I really didn't know what to do next. And so I was just kind of like, I don't know, like floundering. And that was when I found the Academy, the Grant Writing and Funding Academy. I found you through LinkedIn. And because I was just trying to find other grant writers that I could kind of connect with that were people that were doing what I wanted to be doing. And I found you, and a lot of your everything you posted was so not only just informative, but encouraging, which is so spectacular. And I immediately was like, oh my gosh, I need so much more of this. Give me the information and the encouragement. So after signing up for the Academy, I think I realized through that I didn't even really need that certificate. You had this way of steering us in the Academy, of giving us so much information in a very not overwhelming way, if that makes sense. Like you kind of organize it and you make it so that it's like you can drive and you can kind of self-drive, but also there's so many ways to be motivated as well. So it's kind of like, you get to kind of choose. And I know that's diving into something else, but yeah, so that's my grant writing journey so far. And I started my business soon after joining.
I love
and that was really good. So now that's what I do is I'm on retainer and do grant reviews, and it's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So when you were in school, just a quick note, I wonder what was the name of the university for the grant certificate that you got, or the grant writing class that you went to?
I did USC in Columbia, South Carolina. So University of South Carolina.
Okay. Was my book used in that class? Do you know?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. Because I think it is used in that university, but it might have been after you went through the course. But yeah, I was
Okay.
like, oh, that would be interesting.
So there were a list of books we were told to get. That might have been on the list. This is horrible. That might have been on the list, but that was not. There was so much criteria. It was a certificate program, and it was a 1 month program, and so it was a huge
Mm.
intensive. And so we were grant writing while we did the program, and then they also had
Hmm.
like a list of books that they said, "Hey,
Yeah.
these are good books to read." And I did not get to those because I was
Yeah.
just trying to,
Busy.
you know, take care of my child during the day and then write grants at night. And so that was just a little, I don't think I was as nimble to keep track
Yeah.
of that, but I could believe that they
For
have
sure.
a nonprofit management program, and I could
Yeah.
believe that a grant writing course is incorporated into that. So
Yeah, because they don't have. I know that. I think from that school in particular, I think it was one of the first ones that picked up my book, but it was for a health class, which was really interesting to me. Yeah. So, so I guess they were like, we need some grants in healthcare. Like,
sure.
so I was
Yeah.
like, cool. Yeah.
That's great. I love it. I
Yeah.
mean, and it was a good course, but I think that what your academy, what's very special about it is its education's great, but I
Hmm.
think that you kind of elevate it. Like you kind of take it and like you set us up for how we can use it like in the real world. And that
Yeah.
was the thing that was so hard because like while it was helpful and it taught me how to write a grant, I didn't really know what to do after that. Like
Yeah.
I can't just write a grant for someone and say, so see, look here, I can do this. Like it was, you kind of showed us step by step how I could engage the
Hmm.
nonprofit community and just showing them how I can be of service to them and how we can
Yeah.
partner and be a team. But you
Hmm.
also have, I will share, I took your master, like your grant writing course. So like, even
Hmm.
after I did that certificate, like it wasn't like I took your course and it actually, I thought it was better because, and that's no, I'm not trying to put down other places, but
Right.
it was just more helpful to me and how I learned. You really broke
Yeah.
down a lot of stuff. A lot of a lot of it's recorded, and that was really great. So I could pause it. I could just do it
Yeah.
when I could, and I also had
Mhm.
the ability to ask like unlimited questions throughout it. There were so many examples. It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
And when you're in a university setting, not everybody educates in the same way, and so it wasn't exactly that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, the academy was just great.
Yeah. And I love like academia and everything, but yeah, it's definitely there's academia is different than like learning from somebody who's out there doing it, right? And been in boots
Yes.
on ground for 20 years, like
Mhm.
doing the work, getting clients, all of that. So
Yeah.
there's a
Well, and
and there's like the application, right?
exactly. And I think
Mm.
that one of the things, just another thing that you do that's so great is you have such support around like pricing structure and
Mhm.
like you don't just give advice about pricing. You like really try to give a whole picture of what kind of goes into a cost, like your relationship with the nonprofit, as well as you have a webinar you do where someone comes in who's actually done all this research about pricing and like they've done all these surveys with other people who are doing what I do and how much they pay. And that's amazing. I mean, that was one of the first questions people were asking in the certificate program I did. And um, the, there wasn't really any information provided. And I mean, and that
Yeah.
was one of the biggest questions I had. And you had the academy had such a better approach to it because
Yeah.
it's not just, hey, this is your hourly rate. Like there's a lot more that comes with it that can be
Mhm.
sustainable and that you can
Mhm.
really provide. Um, like you can really help the nonprofit a lot more other than just providing
Right.
your like hourly rate.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I think where we're different if from like a lot of like intensive academia programs is they might just teach the skill of grant writing, but not really like how to apply it in a business. And they don't teach the business acumen within that same context for, working with nonprofits. So it's like you'd almost have to take like many different courses and then figure out how they would fit together. And then also that's why we have it for 12 months because we know like you might take, and then we started doing the grant writing training 6 weeks live twice a year as well. So that's exciting, but you can go on
Yes.
your own as well for videos on demand. But also, like, we know you might want a refresher. Like, a lot of people like going through it, they've done the on demand, then they come to the live and they're like, I got more out of it because now it's just sinking in more, and it takes time to really get really confident in a skill, right? And as we say, like, you gotta write grants.
Yeah,
You gotta write grants.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it
Mhm.
is. It's great. And you have it all organized so well. So I know what I'm going to be diving into before I do it. I can prepare. And you also have you have another service where people can submit them for review. I mean, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We love that. We love that because I know how helpful it is as a grant writer to get your grants reviewed, right? Like, I know how helpful that is. I know you get so much feedback. There's so much like tunnel vision going on when you write a grant
Mhm.
sometimes that you need outside eyes on it. So we're like, you know what? Unlimited grant reviews, because that's going to help your confidence too, especially if you're like, I don't know, this is the first grant I've ever written and now I have a
Yeah.
client and they're paying me. Is it good enough? Like, all of that stuff is going to come up. So we want
Yeah.
to help
I'll
you
say
be
that
like,
was,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was one of the
Was that
main
what you've
things.
experienced?
That was one of the
Yeah.
main things I did, because that was one of the main reasons I joined the academy, was because I was like, I don't have a ton of grant writers that I'm connected with. Like, I'd love to have some colleagues that I could just kind of like, can you look at my work? I'd love another pair of eyes on this. And
Yeah.
also I knew, like, what if I'm missing something? I don't know. And having this community of individuals who can, answer on Slack, or even I can just submit something and there's people who can review it, is is so invaluable. And it's also
Mhm.
good for the people that you're providing your service to. Like, that's a huge selling point. You can
Yeah.
say, like, I have access to this community of like very experienced grant writers who can review these grants before I submit them. And I mean, that's great.
I love that. I know we always say, use this as a team member when you're doing your pitches. Like, you have the community. You do.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
yeah. So even if you're
Mhm.
like, I don't have much grant writing experience. I just started it and that's going to hold you back from calls. I'm like, no, use this as a team member. No, I
Yes,
have a team. Yeah.
that's how I got one of my first clients. Was I was, brand new and still figuring out, okay, how do I do this? And I did a lot of reviewing of all the grant reviews you had through the academy. And I, put together mine and it seemed fair. I was like, okay, this is good. I'm just gonna share it with them. And I at first felt very I guess, nervous about having a certain price point, even though in hindsight it was
Mhm.
probably too low. But I was just nervous because it was my first time, and that's how I got when I got my first client, because I was like, they wanted to know how much I fundraised, which is a
Mhm.
totally like respectable question to know. And I said, I am new. I'm new to grant writing, but this is what I can provide. So I can, I have access. I'm a part of an organization that I have other grant writers in a community that review these grants, and that will really help me provide high quality grants, as well as, like, I'm very obviously like, these are all the other things I'm going to be doing for you. And your business review and your business services little structure in the academy help me figure out, how can I make this like usable for a nonprofit? It's not overwhelming to them. It's very simple and straightforward. And because I think before that I was gonna provide them with like 5 options. And I remember listening to so many, you gave just such great advice about, like, just keep it simple but clear
Thank you.
as to like what you're
Like,
gonna do. And it was really
don't
helpful.
overwhelm them. Don't
Yes.
overwhelm them.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
got so many compliments because I had to pitch to a board. That was
Yep.
how I submitted, like, this is what I can do. And then I had an hour meeting with a board where they just asked a bunch of questions, and I got so much positive feedback about the way I structured, how I presented what I could provide. And
Mhm.
I was just so glad that it was that good, because it was my first client. So it made me so much more prepared in those moments.
Yeah. I love
Mhm.
that so much, especially like, as you said, that can feel a little intimidating going when a board interviews you, you know, and
Yes.
they do ask a lot of questions. And sometimes people feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to answer those questions. Did I answer them well? I don't even know how I'm supposed to. I got stuck on some of those just because, and we always say objections are just questions that haven't been answered. So
Yeah, I
even if
love
you feel
that.
like,
Mhm.
yeah, they start to be like, oh, but we don't have enough money or we don't have this. And I'm like, that's not a no yet. That's just an objection that you haven't overcome. It's a question that you haven't answered properly. Right. So I think we help. One of the things that we really do inside the academy is push to help you get educated to answer those questions and to address those questions before you're even asked them in interviews. So you go in very
Yes.
prepared. So you're not as
Yes.
intimidated because that can feel overwhelming, right?
Yes.
So did you
Yes.
feel less overwhelmed
Oh,
going in
so
there?
much less overwhelmed. So much less overwhelmed. And that came in handy. I had my first board review. So I do this like quarterly review with the board,
Mhm.
with the clients that I have where like, because I have like a year contract with them. So every 4 months I'm like, hey, so this is what we've done. And just, like I meet with them like monthly, but the board gets like a full
Yeah.
like review just because, I think it's great. So
Mhm.
I had a bunch of questions about like just the time we're in right now, and how it's a really interesting time with grants, and how can we be nimble. And so what's really great about the academy is you do such a good job at providing so much information about what's going on right now in grant writing and grants that are available, depending on the administration. And you have such a good way of like sifting through everything out there and kind of like funneling it to like, this is what you need to know. This is how this is relevant. This is why you still have a viable job. And this is why you are still incredibly valuable to
Yes.
the to clients and to nonprofits. And so that was really helpful because I was able to speak to that,
Right.
like, be educated about how I can speak about these things, and also provide other like services. I did your corporate solicitation training,
Yay.
and it was amazing. And again, you did a lot of you asked a lot of questions like, what are all the objections you could have, like what are all the different questions people are going to have, why they wouldn't or why they
Mhm.
would. And that was so helpful, and I was able to speak to them about that because if they feel unsure about certain grants, that's fine. Like we could try another approach, and there's different things we can do so that you can still have fundraising, like viable fundraising. So it was
I
just
love
great.
that.
And you make it so simple. Like you
Mhm.
provide so much information. I'm going to stop like talking about all of this, but it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my
I
business.
love that.
Besides making the
Yeah.
decision to do the business, like
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
that's important, but it
Huge,
was the best
huge.
decision I ever made because I have so many, like I'm a mom, I am a person with my own stuff going on, and having this community helps me stay on track with my goals while also not having it be overwhelming. And I also feel like I have these cheerleaders too. So
Oh, yeah. The people in the
yeah.
community or in our program, they're just so amazing. Like,
Mhm.
it's, you find your people, because even like, I'll talk to my daughter, my mom, like other people, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's great. Like grants that I've
Mhm.
gotten or whatever. And then in the community, they're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like they get it. They get the work, what happens, all of the things. So it's
Mhm.
like, they really understand what you go through as a grant writer,
Mhm.
right?
They do.
So
And for what it's worth, you really do help set Holly, like you help set that tone and making it
oh
such an
yeah.
encouraging community. Like I've listened to so many of your podcasts where, people come and they have, a challenge with a nonprofit that they're working with or an executive director. And um, I'm like, oh my goodness, this sounds so stressful. And you have this amazing way of like shifting mindset and into a way that's productive and achievable, and but also comfortable for them, which I think is really tricky. And it's incredible to hear and listen to, and to be a part of. So thank you.
Oh, oh, I love that. I love that so much. Of course, you're welcome. I'm so excited to be a part of
Yeah.
this. And yeah, and you're right. Like, and because it can be tricky, right? It's like there's sensitivity, there's feelings, there's emotions, but then there's a way to neutralize it and a way to like, let's just, our perspective can change a little bit. Sometimes we do feel like our clients are so overwhelming, but sometimes it's just like those are just feelings and we're taking on things that we don't really need to take on. Right. So it's like
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
perspective. And that's what's so important about having a coach is wow, like even for me, my coaches, they help me with that too. I start spinning things and
Yeah.
then I'm like, I need that perspective, like kind of, okay, Holly, like let's ground you again. Right. And we all do it. We all do it as business owners. It's very common. And
Well,
sometimes we
and
start
that's
to
the thing.
blame our clients. You know what I
Reminding us
mean?
that we're business owners. Like this is not a relationship that's super intimate. You're a business owner. Like let's be very like clear with this, and let's set those boundaries up in our contract, but also be mindful that they have questions and
Yeah.
they're running something as well, right? So
Mhm.
it's really
Yeah.
cool.
I love that. I love that. So, and just through the academy too. So you came in, you had taken a class. So let's kind of rehash here, and you came in going, okay, I want to learn more. But inside the academy, you're able to get your first client and your first grant. So can you talk about that and what was helpful specifically to get you there? I know you talked about some things here today as well, but
Yeah.
like, was there anything like
Yes.
specifically?
Absolutely. So my first client was an opera company. So I do a lot of arts-based grant writing. And so what was really helpful in the academy is before the academy, I pitched to a few different organizations and I really just had like a bio and this is my hourly rate. Thanks. Um, and I think that the academy was just fantastic at saying like really focusing it, narrowing it so that you could really show your services and your deliverables and structuring like your business proposal in a way that a nonprofit's like, oh, okay, I see now exactly how you're going to be used and how exactly we can have you, and also how to make it more retainer based, which was
Yeah.
really helpful for me. You know, we, especially as business owners, we need security and that monthly income. And you really push that, which
Mhm.
is awesome. And really shift that mindset from hourly rate to like you're providing a service and it can absolutely be a retainer. And it also makes it easier for you to really help the
Yes.
client. So anyway, I got like business reviews from there. And then I also I did my first training. I did a training where I was hired to do like a workshop. It was a virtual workshop, and I got I watched a lot of your videos, and I asked great questions in the Slack, and that really helped me put together stuff that made a lot of sense and that was like streamlined. So I was able to do that through the academy, and then when I will go back to this. So when I got my first client, they had never had a grant writer. So I was really guiding a lot of it. And I think that you have a lot of key coursework that helped me structure kind of like an onboarding and also how to structure the progression of my time with them. So
Mhm.
the wellness audit, I was
Yeah.
able to do a complete wellness audit, and that really kind of guided where we went after that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I was able to do the federal grant review class that you offer. So I did that, and then that's really like the thing that I offer as well is I do grant reviews, and that's been really great because a lot of, especially depending on where you live and where you are, you know, I I love volunteering in my community, and not everyone can afford to have a grant writer on retainer. And so doing grant reviews is something that I offer in additional to the master grant application template that is much like smaller, but still is completely valuable. And that's something that I also learned from the academy was to do the master grant application template. And so that's an incredible tool that we learned through that. So those are probably the main things. I mean, there's so much more. I'm trying to think. I wrote some things down because I was like, I need to remember all the things that were amazing. The podcast, oh my gosh, your podcasts are like incredible because I can listen to them whenever. I usually listen to them when I'm like walking my dog. And that's when I'm like able to like hear and retain. And then like you have these webinars that are so amazing. And they've helped me retain clients,
Yeah.
especially with everything going on, um, with, with the grant world, as far as like funding, being removed and shifted elsewhere, that I think that being in the know and knowing what's still helpful to help, especially in the arts community,
Yeah.
they're very nervous. And
Yeah.
because it's not the sexy thing,
Yeah.
arts work, museums, art museums, opera companies, symphony orchestras. I mean, there's so much that they do in the community, but it's not something that people always think of as like this need, right? So they're
Right.
nervous. And um, I think that your academy has been really great with providing helpful info that's allowed me to retain clients.
I
Mhm.
love that so much because yeah, that's one of the things that we've been focusing on in 2025, and I'm glad that's helpful. Is like, yeah, we do kind of like screen through a lot of the noise, and there's things out there, and but it's causing a lot of fear, as you mentioned, for
Mhm.
nonprofits, and some of it's very valid as well, right?
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, and also for grant writers, and that's why we were like, okay, let's try to understand the needs aren't going to go away, the programs aren't going to go away, just how else can we bring in expertise on knowing how to keep these funded, that if they're a little bit scared right now with grants being paused, that they can continue and not stop. That's just what we were like, we don't want you
Exactly.
to stop. Like, as a freelance grant writer, we don't want you to stop pitching your services because we know nonprofits need you. As a nonprofit, we don't want you to quit going out there to try to raise funds for your nonprofit because your programs are still needed. So we,
Yeah.
because I've been doing other things besides just grant writing. I was known as the grant girl, but like we also have their nonprofit strategic planning course inside the academy that we've always
Mhm.
had in there. We have, as you mentioned, the nonprofit wellness audit, but then also I've done a lot of things, corporate solicitations. That was a new training
Mhm.
that we just did, a new
That
package
was
for.
amazing.
Yay, I
That
love it.
was
I love it.
amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it. I'm already working on it now with one of my clients. They're so excited about it, and I'm so excited to do it too. So
Yeah.
it's been fantastic. It's such an, and that's the thing is, when you have a business, you have to constantly be evolving, and
Yeah. Okay.
the academy is living and breathing the world of grants. So like it's constantly moving forward and like shifting, which is
Yeah.
so powerful. And that's why for me, that's why it was so valuable when I was looking to start getting clients and start my business because, and get grants.
Yeah.
Because the certificate program I did was great, but it's like you open a textbook and this is it. And then you close
Yeah.
it. And then you're like, okay. And your academy is very much about the here and now and what like you also like you build this, you have all the foundations, but you also show how different things can come in and out and weave, and it's like, how can I make sense of all this and apply it,
Yeah.
which is really really good. Mhm.
And we just, go back to, we want you to get results for your clients.
Mhm.
Like really,
Mhm.
that's when I look at everything. And that's why, we're saying, okay, make sure you're reporting your grant wins, your client wins, all of that, because we want to make sure that you're also getting results and that you feel comfortable and confident going out there going, I'm bringing value. So we focus on obviously you delivering that, but then you being confident in showing those results and being able to say, okay, if now these other grants that we've been writing haven't been around, I still want to get results from my client. I still want to
Yes.
feel comfortable and confident and not reduce my pay. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, I still need to get paid, but maybe I need to add another funding asset in, like corporate
Mhm.
solicitation, in exchange for a federal grant right now. Cool. We can still
Yes.
get money and diversify the funding then. Like, all right.
Mhm.
And now you have another skill that'll be with
Yeah.
you for life that you
Yes.
can always do. So we're
Always.
excited
Mhm.
about it. Yeah. We're
Yeah,
excited
it's
about
great. And
diversifying things.
it's so important. And to speak to how I got my first grant in the academy. So I was working with a community center that offered a lot of like arts-based programs, and they had been, trying to get grants for about 5 years. And I was able to use you had like a master grant writing like class that you like offered. And so I did that in addition to the master grant template. And I used that to apply for a grant for their what was it, their marketing and advertising for a year, and they got it.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% sure it's because of all of the information that you provide in the master grant application template, all the ins and outs. And I mean, it was so valuable. And yeah, it helped me because they are very bare bones organization. They're a very bare bones organization, but it helped me be retained as a grant reviewer, like ongoing.
I love
They
that.
saw that as so valuable that that's been able to like build. So
Yeah. Yeah. You do one master grant application with a client and they will like love you for life because
mhm.
you can repurpose that into so many things, and they were like, wow, you helped us get clear and focused, and it's such a good product that is just such high quality that it's like,
Yes,
please
it
give it
is.
a
It's such a
try.
high quality product. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, I
Mhm.
love that so much.
Yeah.
So let's talk numbers here. Where have you been? So you came in, you got your first grant, which is amazing. You've gotten clients as well. So, like, what are you up to with your client contracts now from coming into the program?
So right now, and I will share, I tried to keep it down some just because I do have my daughter most of the
Yeah,
day and she's a
yeah.
toddler. So I'm really a stay-at-home mom right now, but
Mhm,
I right now I have two clients that are on retainer. And then
mhm.
I have two other clients that I do ongoing grant reviews for. So like I have two
Amazing.
clients that I do like I write like 2 to 3 grants for them a month. And then I have two other clients that I review like 1 to 2 grants for them a month. And that's kind of how I do it.
Mhm.
I think I'm ready to take on another client. Like now that got my groove going, I'm like, okay, I could probably take on one or two more now that
Yeah,
I'm, doing things. But I'm just moving more slowly because I'm a stay-at-home mom. So that's kind of how
yeah.
it's going now. But that's what I love about the academy because it's very much like your own pace. And
Mhm.
I appreciate that. I really
And I
do. And it's
love
like,
that. Yeah, I love that you're able to stay at home with your what now 3-year-old, right?
she's 2.5. Yeah.
2.5.
She's two and a
Okay,
half.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, like, that's such a special time, and to be able to what I love about it is so many women in the academy are moms and have, like, young children, and they're able to still make money and be home with their kids. It's not this
Yep.
either/or choice that we face in mainstream America, right?
Yep.
And
Yes.
that's
Yes.
crazy. It's like, choose your career or choose being a mom, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Why?
Yeah.
You never
It's
asked them
so
about guys." Like
Yes,
dads.
it's so frustrating because I went from I had a 9 to 5, but it wasn't 9 to 5.
No.
It was like all night all the time. I mean, I was
Yeah.
working till like 9 p.m. every night. I didn't it was like how am I supposed this is not sustainable for having like a child and for any it's not really good for anyone.
No.
But I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
having a child made me see it a little differently. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I wanted more. And
Yeah.
doing, being able to start my own business helped me make that decision and make it more, valuable to me. I mean, what I love about this business is that it's scalable.
Yeah.
And like, so when she goes to school, I'll be able to scale it up and I have this foundation that I can build off of. And that heaven
Mhm.
forbid something happens and I have like a sick parent or something
Yeah.
happens and I have to kind of, reduce down. You have
Mhm.
so many ways to allow people to do that.
Mhm.
While still like meeting certain goals. And I think that that's incredibly valuable and it's very real. It's
Yeah.
very, very real because
Absolutely.
that's the reality.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, everybody, and it's like, oh, it's not a program where you just give the same recommendation to everybody. I'm like, no, the first thing we have you do is actually work on your why and what your personal goals are based on what you have going on in your life. And then we go from there,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And that's the
yeah.
way you have to do it. Because if you were like, you have your 2.5-year-old, she's at home with you all day, and you're like, and I'm going to get, X number of clients and and I'm going to work all the time. And you're just back to your 9 to 5 behavior again. Right. And
I
then
can't.
it's like,
I can't. And like, what's the point of that? She should just go be in daycare where she could have someone engaged with her. Like, I
yeah.
mean,
And
if
then to
I'm,
be like, I can still make really good money and work very part-time. And I think that's the beauty, right? That you don't see in a lot of other skills out there necessarily, but you do see in grant writing. So yeah, that's why I love it.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's also been a really great way, for me to continue to stay engaged in the community.
Yeah.
When you, not to keep talking about having a kid, but like when I had a kid, you're postpartum, you're like, you change. And I think that being grant writing is so amazing because it's this way that you continue to be so engaged in the world around you, while
Yeah.
also like still like being able to, give to your family as well and yourself.
Mhm.
So
Oh, I love
I
it.
think yeah, it's great. So, but right now I have 2 clients on retainer, and then I have 2 other clients that I just do grant writing for monthly.
Mhm.
And that's been really good, but I definitely am looking to take on a new client now. I was looking at numbers and I was like, you know what? I think we're good. I can do this. And
Good.
so that's been
I love
really
it.
great.
Yeah, so especially arts organizations out there, especially in South
Mhm.
Carolina and that area, EOWYN is
Yeah.
open. She's got a couple of
Mhm.
slots and that's it. And they're going to fill up
Yeah,
fast.
I
So,
know, I know. So I've mainly been serving the Southeast, which
mhm.
has been good. But I mean, it's really arts organizations, like anyone who provides arts to the community, or just, that's what you're
Yeah.
trying to do. I'm here to help you.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are going to be coming to you because they're like, NEA isn't out there right now helping us out. Like, they do
Mhm.
need the help. They do need people like you who can think outside the box, who have the tools, who have the resources to help them still get funding, even if they're used to federal grants, like to start new streams of income, to
Yes.
diversify, and to just keep going. Like, don't get stuck
Yeah.
in like all of that. Like, keep moving. Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
Right? We got you.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the organizations that I'm working with, they'd always been getting this like National Arts Endowment grant, and they're, it's very much changing this year. And so that's another thing that we've been doing is, we've been working a lot on just, national foundations as well as like local foundations, doing a lot of research, and it's been really helpful. It also gets them like, they're a lot more aware of other options out there for funding as opposed to just this one thing that they've always had.
Yeah.
That's going to change.
Love that. I love,
So yeah.
helping find new things, right? That they just never had to like really think about before, maybe.
Well,
They
I
didn't.
mean,
They
it's
were like,
hard,
okay.
when
Yeah.
you're running an organization, you don't have time to figure all that
Yeah.
stuff out. Like, tell me you know nothing about running a nonprofit by telling me you know nothing about running a nonprofit. When it's so hard. You have your mission and your focus, and you don't have time to do all this other stuff over here. So you're just kind of
Yeah.
like throwing stuff on a wall to see what sticks. But you want it to be intentional, right? So that's why being a grant writer, a freelance grant writer, is so helpful, because they don't have to worry about a lot of things with you. You're just doing it,
Yep. They don't have to
so
worry about managing you, all of the things. And then, because I find like a lot of grant writers in house, they do some prospecting, but they're usually just getting the grants thrown at them. And
Mhm.
freelance grant writers, what I love about us is especially when you do the master grant application first or the nonprofit wellness audit first with your clients and you have them on retainer, is you really guide them into the priorities. So then you're not mission drifting. And then you set to work to find the grants for
Yes.
the year that you're going to apply for. So you have time to apply for them. Everyone's on point. Everyone understands their priorities. Just the success rate is going to be so much higher, right?
Absolutely. When you're
So,
not reactive, you have the ability to really be intentional about where you're putting your effort, your energy. I
mhm.
mean, it's not limitless. We don't
No,
have unending amounts of energy. And I think that it's so important to have another person come in and just take another look at stuff and say, let's be intentional about how we're going to get funding and how we're going
yeah,
to, drive your mission. So
yeah, absolutely.
I love it. It's
Yay!
great.
So good. So, and I'm so glad you stopped doing hourly. I'm so glad you have clients and that you're
Yes.
able to like just, yeah, focus on them in a different way, which is so much easier to help them get their results, right? Once again, when you're not just like, okay, are you going to nitpick my hours this month? Or are we actually going to do work? like, like I
Yes.
find that very
Yes.
true. So, so if
Absolutely.
anyone's like you out there who may have been like, okay, I had a full-time job, or I had, maybe they still do, but they're thinking about transitioning, but they may also have young ones, and maybe they're looking at grant certificate programs online and all of the different things, like anything like on the cusp, but then they see the academy and they're like, well, maybe, like, any words to them?
Do it. Do the academy. Do it. Just do the academy first. Don't do another certificate program. Like the only reason to me you should do a certificate program is if your job is like you have to do a certificate program. Like if it's one of those things where like they're like requiring you. But even the academy has one. So like
We
it's
have one.
still like I
Yeah.
mean it's still like it's a no-brainer because it's this cost. I mean the academy, I'm trying to remember what my certificate program cost. It was more than the
Yeah.
academy annually.
Yeah. It was a
And
month, right?
you get so much more. Yeah. And you get
Yeah.
so much more out of the academy. You get a community, and you get a community of people that can help you. That's the goal, right? So if you've got a kid, or if you don't have a kid, if you're just like, if you're on the fence, it's a business write-off. It's an
Yeah.
investment in your job. I got my first, you start making money like the minute you get hired, and you have everything so structured. Just do it. It's
Yeah.
really it's such a great tool, and especially if you are like me and you have life is pulling you in lots of different directions.
Mm.
There's so many ways in the academy to gain knowledge, whether it's a podcast or a Slack channel or a business review or a grant review, or the webinars, which are amazing. um, there's and then you have emails as well, like giving us other information. And I read them all, like while I'm like playing with my daughter while she naps, because my goodness,
I
I'm
love that.
just
Yeah,
like,
this is my
what can
this
I
is best
do to stay in
time.
the nap? Yeah, I'm like, it's so helpful. And there's so many different ways that that the academy meets you where you are. And so it's really been just a great investment in my business and in my future. So,
I love it. I love it. You definitely got your ROI back.
yeah. Oh
So,
my God.
yeah,
Yes,
so
absolutely.
good. I
Yep.
love that
Not
so
even a
much.
question. That's why I re-upped it, because I was like, this is just a good business investment for like the long term to have.
Yeah.
It just makes
Yeah.
so
You
much
just
sense.
renewed for another year. Yeah. I love it.
Mhm.
I love that so
I
much.
did. I
So,
was like, when is this? Why? I want to make sure I don't miss it.
oh yeah, because we got
So
little bonuses for our renewals. I love it.
I know. I was like, what? I have to do this now. How do I do this? It was
Yep.
great. Yeah, it
I
was
love
very,
it.
very helpful. So I'm glad I did it.
So I'm so
Yeah.
glad too. I love being a part of these journeys. I love hearing everything. I mean, this is what I made it
Yeah.
for, was
Thank
for all of
you.
us just to elevate together. And I love it to see it happening, and real time manifestation stuff going on. Like,
Yeah.
it's so
And
much
it changes.
fun.
It's changing. It makes such a difference in communities and in people's lives to be able to, you know, obtain these services. It's incredible. So thank you.
Oh, so,
Truly.
so good. So thank you so much for coming on today. Where can people find you, especially those arts organizations out there? And we'll definitely have all
So
your links in the show notes too, but if they're listening, where's a good place?
yeah, so right now my website is under construction, so not there. But you can reach out to me via email, which again, bare bones, but I am still here. But it's my Gmail, so my first name dot my last name at gmail.com. I'm happy to
And we'll have
spell
all
it
of
for
that.
those listening. Yeah.
Yes,
So it's
we'll have all the links. But if you guys are Lord of the Rings fans, like Éowyn, that's right.
EOWYN. Yep. Melaragno. So MELARAGNO at gmail.com. That's how you reach me, which I know, that's again, the plan is to have a website up and running by fall. So
For sure. We'll
that's
have
my
the links to that especially when you have it up. We'll add it into the show notes too. But for now, yeah, you can definitely email. We'll have the email there for Éowyn as well. So reach out to her. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on today. And you're also going to be at our upcoming panel. So you guys all watch out for that.
yes.
We have some people that have made their first client or their first grant inside the program as well coming up. So you'll be a part of that and we'll be hearing more from
Yeah.
you. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, that'll be fun. So thank you for coming on that too. I'm excited to have that panel with y'all.
Thanks so much,
Awesome.
Holly. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you. All right. Have a great night and I'll see you back inside the
Thanks.
academy.
Bye.
Thanks.